And this court doesn't have the most perfect record either when I came to them in need with a Pennsylvania medical cannabis card in October 2018. You all are frauds. Frauds. This entire court, everyone, all of you are frauds. You are all frauds. You have let the people down. You are a living embodiment of disrespect to the American flag. Your lack of integrity is to your own name to bear. What does this have to do with the lawsuit? What? You may remember that last weekend, we talked about Amro Elansari and his various complaints against the Pennsylvania state system of higher education and RuneScape and Tinder, and then in there someplace was Dell and Best Buy. So here's the Dell and Best Buy reply. I guess they either made a motion to dismiss or some kind of motion. I don't know what the actual thing was that triggered this. But we found this online, and this is Amro Elansari's reply to Dell, which I will do a dramatic reading of for you here. Is that okay? Everybody wants a dramatic reading of Amro Elansari. Okay. This is a community-supported legal education channel. Find out how you can support our mission at the links in the description below. Reply to Dell. The representations made by Edward J. Murphy, representative for Dell, have been pure fraudulent. Best Buy indicated that there was a 1-year manufacturer warranty on the computer at the time of purchase, implicating Dell. Attorney Murphy has represented that Dell has nothing to do with the transaction in an attempt to swindle this court into a decision in their favor. Attorney Murphy mentions facts, the appellant's suspension from law school currently being challenged in the Third Circuit unethically. Attorney Murphy's defense for Dell is not Dell, Best Buy did nothing wrong, but rather, Attorney Murphy baldly states the appellant, a non-lawyer, having not prepared the paperwork associated with the specifics in this case in a perfect lawyer way, that Best Buy and Dell should be exempt from the crimes and scams they have been pulling on the people, and fraudulently cites in his brief, no evidence has been presented, when in fact evidence has been presented of a $380 in-store ad, February, scammed plaintiff, $500 buy. Lawsuit, June 2018, computer is broken, not bait/switch. Further investigation reveals same ad, July 2018, being run this whole time.
Why waste time? Say lot word when few word do trick.
There was never any computer. There was never any computer. There was never any $380 computer. They're scammers. The dog is leaving. Dog is concerned that I'm being enthusiastic when there's no actual cause to be enthusiastic. They're scammers. They're criminals trying to deceive people out of money to enrich themselves. And Edward J. Murphy is helping them in his individual capacity. And he has no right to bring matters outside of his lawsuit with Dell and Best Buy being sued, I think he means this, for bait and switch / unjust enrichment / all of the other schemes and scams they've been involved in. And this case is not about Best Buy and Dell. It's about the state of Pennsylvania court system and how it makes it so hard for the average individual to access, even when they're trying to do a favor and point out a blatant scam. I leave Amro alone. Like, leave Amro alone. You don't know what it's like.
I'm just quickly confused. No? He just said Dell and Best Buy are being sued for bait and switch, but a few lines up, he said no bait and switch.
Yeah, this is it's Amro Elansari appellant against Best Buy here. And so he then goes on down at the bottom to say that it's not about Best Buy and Dell. So that's a little weird. It's a violation of the substantive due process rights of the citizen guaranteed to thee under the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. to press them on the little points when they are trying to make a good faith effort to present a case. And more than enough evidence has been presented here on paper showing these people are scammers, fraudulent scammers scheming on people. The brief is outlined accordingly. The complaint is presented accordingly. These judges are just making excuses to get these people out of the straight-up fraud and corruption they're involved in. It seems they're all just one big corrupt conspiracy scheme of just helping one another out, and no one here has any integrity. And this court doesn't have the most perfect record either when I came to them in need with a Pennsylvania medical cannabis card in October 2018. What does this have to do with the lawsuit? What? Facing an unlawful eviction based on said Pennsylvania medical cannabis card and facing a criminal trial the year before in October 2016, selling weed because someone called me and told me they needed it in 2015. Oh, this brief, although formatted section by section, see dissenting opinion from your own court, isn't tip-top notch to my liking, end quote. There was an open quote, /-2016. So we're just going to look away at all of the social injustice taking place here, end quote. And Justice Piniella in the Bloomsburg joint case, I'm guessing he means the sale of the marijuana, 2015, 2016, you should lecture my constitutional law class. Wait, really? A judge said that to him? Like he's going through his court thing and pissing off the judge, and the judge says, hey, yeah, you should lecture my constitutional law class. Wow. Opinion denied, ignore social justice issues, make people sit in jail for having a plant that doesn't harm people while others get drunk on liquor and smoke tobacco, killing 400,000 Americans per year, take away the liberty of Americans to make a simple decision for themselves irrationally without any due reason, and in fact ignoring reason and ration, in other words, knowingly making a mistaken representation of a material fact that pot is a substance that has no accepted medicinal value in the U.S., which it did at the time in many states, and no accepted method of control/regulation, which it did at the time in many states, which shows you all are frauds. This entire court, everyone, all of you are frauds. You are all frauds. You have let the people down. You are a living embodiment of disrespect to the American flag. Your lack of integrity is to your own name to bear. Let the history and writing speak for itself. All of the people that suffered over the past few years that could have been healthier and better, but because of you, all of that suffering is on you to bear. The amount sued is not $29 billion or $119 billion in the amended complaint. It is supposed to be for whatever the jury deems fair, and what is argued for is everything they have for their lack of integrity and disrespect to the American flag. Best Buy says go to Dell, 1-year warranty. Dell says computer is owned by Best Buy. All is just a big corporate run-around scheme. And we just expect the average person to put up the costs and efforts of litigation and litigate it as perfectly as an attorney. This isn't even my area of practice. I'm just trying to help... Wait, practice? This isn't even my area of practice. I'm just trying to help out here. Respectfully submitted, Amro Elansari, July 4th, 2019. Liberty and justice for all. Wait, okay, so July 4th isn't even a day you can file things in court, by the way.
Oh.
Like, July 4th is a federal holiday. You can't file anything in court. So, yeah, maybe he prepared it and signed it, and you can definitely put that date on there. But, like, it's just weird to do that. Let's just put it that way.
So I guess his area of practice was that the Article 14 that he told the judge last time about. He's not 101 in.
Yeah. He had a ways to go to conform himself to... Like I said, he's not wrong in his sentiments. I don't think he's wrong. I don't know, is this... I'm not like some strange... sovereign citizen myself or anything, but I think his sentiments are not wrong. He felt scammed by Best Buy, and he wanted to do he wanted to point out the scam from Best Buy. Now it sounds like he didn't do a very good job of pointing it out.
Yeah.
there's a couple things that he could have done wrong that I don't even need to go look at the thing. But you can see from the way he formats his responses that he's not pointing out, here's law A plus fact B, C, D operates or equals remedy or outcome. He's not even presenting it in a way that a judge can say, okay, well, you said, here's the law that was violated, here's the remedy I want, here are the facts that show the causal chain from cause to damage or injury. And you can see that he doesn't even do the basics of that. So he got kicked out of law school before he either had the opportunity to learn or before he conformed himself. And maybe he got kicked out of law school because they recognized that he wouldn't be able to conform himself to the requirements of law. He doesn't have to agree with the law. There are laws that I disagree with. I happen to also disagree with cannabis being illegal. I think that lots of very, very much innocent people have been put into an incarceration situation for very long periods of time. And technically, I mean, even short periods of time are probably quite damaging to someone. Incarceration in the United States does not have a rehabilitative effect. And we have not yet learned to rehabilitate people as opposed to punish. It's one thing to punish someone who has intentionally committed an egregious crime, such as murder or something. We can debate all day about capital punishment for major egregious crimes. But when someone is drinking too much alcohol, the answer isn't throw them in jail for an unnecessarily long period of time. Certainly, I was witness to a person who drank so much alcohol and so often and so out of control, and then drove their car several times and had accidents and caused damage. Fortunately, never killed anybody. And this whole time, her family and everybody is trying to get her to get help, and alcoholism is a terrible situation. But what I'm trying to say is that Amro Elansari is not wrong that there is a problem with incarcerating people for cannabis while alcohol remains basically free and open to anyone. And that seems to present an equal protection issue. But he hasn't reasoned his way through it. He hasn't shown a judge how this violates the law. And here's where, let's just take it to its conclusion and explain, I guess, because he doesn't seem to get it. Why is it okay for the government to regulate cannabis in the way that it does? Let's talk about this on Lawful Masses for the first time ever, I think. So we've gone over a little bit in the past about strict scrutiny and minimal scrutiny and intermediate scrutiny, and when they might apply to different rights that are implicated by different amendments or constitution or other laws. So if there's a civil right that's created, let's say the right to be protected from discrimination in employment because of sexual orientation, that would likely trigger some sort of higher level of scrutiny, depending upon what the government had done and all that. If there's some sort of encroachment on your civil rights. A more clear case, of course, is the First Amendment right to free speech or religious liberty. Those are both in the First Amendment. Those would be things that would trigger strict scrutiny, where the government has to have a very narrowly tailored reason to affect only a compelling government interest. So the government interest must be more or less necessary or compelling. And I might be getting my phrasing of this wrong. You constitutional scholars and law students, don't use my paraphrasing here for your bar exam, which you actually just took, and maybe New Jersey's is tomorrow, I think. Yeah, don't listen to this and go take that. But so you've got a higher level of scrutiny, and it must affect a compelling or necessary government interest. The law must be narrowly tailored to affect that interest, to EFFECT, to make that interest happen, to make the outcome happen. If those things aren't true, the law can be unconstitutional, can be a violation. Then you have something like intermediate scrutiny, which is kind of complicated because it's only certain rights trigger that, and I'm going to skip over intermediate scrutiny. But on the other end of the spectrum, you have minimal scrutiny. And this is for things that aren't considered basic human rights. And marijuana under U.S. law falls under this type of scrutiny. Your right to smoke a plant is not a basic human right on the same level of, say, freedom of speech or life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, clean water, life, bodily integrity, stuff like that. So the government in the U.S., I'm not saying this is what we want or anything, but this is how the law works in the U.S. And Amro Elansari doesn't conform himself to this part, doesn't understand this part. So now you and I are going to understand this part, and he's still not going to understand it. Under U.S. law, alcohol, marijuana, cigarettes, none of that stuff triggers a heightened level of scrutiny. And so minimal scrutiny applies. Okay, great. Close the stream. We're all done. Y'all know what minimal scrutiny is, right? No. Minimal scrutiny really just requires any rational basis, and the government can do whatever the heck it wants. As long as the legislative branch states some rational basis, not some irrational basis, just any reasonable reason, they can regulate it in any way that they want, full stop. That's where that problem is. So it's not that you can't overcome that. I'm sure there's some great arguments to overcome that. But did you see anything in Amro Elansari's argument about medical cannabis saying that it somehow didn't survive the minimal scrutiny test? Or even arguing that it should be a basic human right, or it should be recognized under intermediate or heightened scrutiny. And then going from there and saying, and because it needs to be also falls under equal protection of the law and also the incorporation of equal protection to the states, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He has to connect all those dots, and he didn't study hard enough in law school, or he didn't learn from his experience in law school enough to understand how he has to connect those dots. So he's not even, his marijuana argument isn't even in court, at this point, because he doesn't understand how you would have to argue that. He's not crazy. Okay, so let me call him not crazy. I don't know. He could be crazy, but I don't. I mean that his arguments aren't crazy. He felt swindled by a Best Buy ad where he went to buy the computer, and either the ad was wrong or there was some misunderstanding about how the $380 computer, doesn't get you everything and you have to buy it for something more. Maybe it was the tax on I don't even know what it was, but there was some dispute over okay, so that could have been adjudicated instead of thrown out, except the judge really didn't appreciate the way he phrased his complaint. He probably didn't conform it to even the basic rules of law and didn't state a claim. He thinks he has stated a claim, but he stated a conclusory claim. He has stated a claim he has stated that he has a claim, literally said the words, I have a claim in so many words, without showing the proof of how you get to a claim. Under Pennsylvania law, the pleading standard is actually a little bit more strict than the federal standard, which may be why he retreated to federal court and filed so many federal court lawsuits. And then this other stuff about judges being corrupt and all that is really just his misunderstanding the court system. Could a judge be corrupt? Sure. We've had corrupt judges in the United States and in Pennsylvania, but he's not alleged any. He's not said any words in here that make any sense as far as alleging a judge is corrupt. He's just upset that he didn't get very far into the court system. And he's not going to get very far into the court system if he keeps presenting his cases like this. He really needs to go from A to B to C, and it needs to be presented in a way that makes sense to the reader. He doesn't seem to understand that he has a reader. He has a person who's going to read this, and that person is an educated judge, far more educated, no offense, but far more educated than Amro Elansari. So the judge is going to see through anything that isn't fully fleshed for trial or for already a correctly done complaint, basically. Sure, you could lower the standard, and I think they do lower the standard for say, plaintiffs, but he still has to at least state the basics of a claim, and showing an ad and how he thinks he got swindled out of some small amount of money probably isn't impressing any county court judge or superior court appellate judge. So that's what's going on there. Let us know what you think of Amro Elansari's Best Buy / Dell / everybody else appeal. That seemed to suddenly have everybody else in it there. It was like, we're just going to focus on Best Buy and Dell, and we're really angry about the computer. And then all of a sudden...
My memory recalls me, wasn't this part of his golf complex lawsuit where all of a sudden Best Buy jumped into it? I can't remember seeing actually an individual one for this entry before.
Oh.
So it seems that this one also comes from a bigger lawsuit that didn't go well.
Yeah, he has a habit of just suddenly including parties, or like the judge was suddenly a party. He amended one of his federal complaints to make the judge a party to the lawsuit, and that doesn't work like that.
On a little bit more of a hopeful note, if anybody is watching this and they're considering filing their own pro se complaint, because I mean, he's right that it is expensive to hire lawyers, and that for a lot of situations you can feel like David and Goliath, and you're just the little guy without all these fancy lawyers, so what are you going to do? Are there any like law clinics for lawyers to be able to help you understand, or even paralegals to help you understand the elements of a complaint? Like, is there any resource for him to go to?
Yeah, there's legal clinics. He should have tried the legal clinics. If he's talking to the legal clinics like he's filing these complaints, they probably don't want to deal with him either. And that's also probably why he feels like everyone's against him. He may not realize that it's partially his attitude. Now, is that fair? I don't know. That doesn't sound entirely fair to me, because if I may be so bold, I don't mean to be mean to anyone, but it sounds like maybe someone should talk to a mental health professional, and then so what if a mental health condition is presenting as a somewhat confused Amro Elansari, and what if the person got the help that they needed or whatever? Again, I'm not trying to make it seem like I know anything about him. It seems like, if I may armchair diagnose, because I'm not a mental health professional, it seems like maybe she should get some help from somebody. If he got that together, maybe he would make a fine something someday. We'll see. First, he has to get himself together. Right now, he doesn't have himself together with these complaints are out of... They're confusing, and they're rambling, and they're conclusory, and it doesn't seem like something that would get a judge's attention. So that's our show, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I am Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. In the studio with me here has been Kaylee, and in the virtual studio has been Tactical Bra. Thank you to our monthly supporters on patreon.com/ljfrench and sponsors.org/law. Your financial support is what makes our channel possible. Thank you to Joshua Davis from TandaPay for his support at the $500 level in the month of July, and I even hear he's going to support in August as well. So thank you very, very much to Joshua Davis. Thank you to our $50 plus supporters: John Steele, Gavin Barnard, Kyle Mudrak, Eevi, Michael Pearce, Richard Fournier, Spirit Bear, Jan Negrey, Daniel Perez, and Snorre Wisotzky. And thank you to the $5 plus supporters who are scrolling on the LED panel behind me. All of those people will be in the description of the videos below. However, it's only $1 to get access to some of the behind the scenes stuff and our special supporter channel and all that, and our half-hour live streams on Sunday mornings. And we are planning on adding more live streams for the patrons, probably a Friday live stream. We'll see, like a question and answer kind of thing, and then we'll produce that video into a YouTube video. But if you want to be on the question and answer live stream, you'll have to be at least $1 supporter. So I'll leave some room here for dog video. Thank you very much. Love you all. I'm Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. Have a great week. Bye.